Your Excellencies, distinguished CEOs, partners in Africa's future, fellow Rwandans, good morning. Good morning. It's a great honor for me to speak with you today. We're here because something deeper is happening across this continent. A quiet but really steady conviction is at root, and that conviction is really simple. Africa's future must be owned, built by Africans, and really financed by Africans. Rwanda is ready not only to contribute, but to lead where it can. I'm going to walk you through the Rwanda's journey from where we started to where we are now, and how we built a system that delivers. Over the last 20 years, Rwanda has been shaped by one consistent idea, that transformation is possible when you're disciplined, focused, and intentional. That's how we turned a once fragile economy into one of the fastest growing on the continent, with our GDP increasing more than 16-fold. That's also how we became ranked #1 in Africa in the World Bank Newbie Ready Index. But rankings only tell part of the story. What matters more is what they represent. Which begs the question, why Rwanda? Rwanda is a place where you can invest because today you can register a company in 6 hours, you can own 100% of your business and repatriate your capital freely, you can invest in a backed legal system that protects contracts and a culture that values delivery. So in essence, we're not just open for business, but we really are structured for it. Our geographical position allows us to become a bridge to markets across the continent. Rwanda is at the heart of a region undergoing rapid demographic and economic growth. Through the EAC, COMESA, and the AFCFTA, we offer preferential access to over 450 million consumers. So whether you're looking to expand in East Africa, establish a regional base, or access Francophone markets through Central Africa, Rwanda is your launchpad. And as you saw in our country's group chat yesterday, size doesn't matter to us. We may be small in size, but we really think at scale, and we build for the long term. Let me share the areas where Rwanda is really placing its bets and where we invite you to place yours. First, manufacturing. When it comes to manufacturing, we're moving from import substitution to regional supply. We have mapped over 300 hectares of zoned, serviced industrial parks across 9 regions. We're investing in glass, steel production backed by domestic raw materials, agro-processing, food-grade packaging, and sustainable materials. Circular economy, industries like recycling tied to regional FMCG demand. These are not small pilots, these are long-term platforms, and they're ready. Let's also take a look at agriculture and agro-industrial development. Today we have a project called Gabiro Agribusiness Hub that has over 5,600 hectares of irrigated farmland, which is already operational. The next 10,000 hectares are ready for investments with infrastructure, for operators, and an offtake agreement in place. So this is how we move from fragmented plots to scaled agribusiness, from rain-fed uncertainty to really regional food security. Third, real estate and construction. Our population will nearly double by 2050. Kigali alone today needs more than 30,000 units, housing units each year. We're investing in affordable but also middle-income housing, net zero infrastructure like Green City Kigali, waterfront developments, and hospitality corridors across our most visited parts of the country for tourists. I hope this takes you a little bit into the motherland and makes you dream about real estate and construction. So we're not just building homes, we're really designing the African city of the future.
Good morning. Well, nobody told me that I would be making a speech after Michelle, because I'm not sure what I can say after she describes such a beautiful and inspiring Rwanda. But let me try. Honorable guests, colleagues, friends, I bring to you the warm wishes from Africa 50. Africa 50 is an infrastructure investment platform, asset manager and investor, which is owned by 33 African countries, including the Republic of Rwanda, and then the African Development Bank, 2 African central banks, and PIC of South Africa. Our mandate is to help bridge the infrastructure gap in Africa through catalyzing private investment in infrastructure in this great continent of Africa. It is an honor to be with you today at this year's Africa CEO Forum, and a special privilege to join this Invest in Rwanda session at the invitation of Rwanda Development Board, my friend and brother Jean-Guy. While we are not physically in Kigali, the spotlight rightfully shines on a country, Rwanda, that continues to demonstrate what visionary leadership, strong institutions, clear policy alignment can deliver, especially in today's transactional global landscape. Everybody has heard about transactional, but you still need a vision. You know, the global economic environment has shifted beneath our feet. As capital retreats and economic nationalism rises, emerging economies are forced to make difficult choices with regard to accessing capital when it comes to partners, investment, and policy. In this context, Rwanda offers a compelling case study, I would argue. An administration that has refused to be passive. Instead, this administration, this government of Rwanda and the Rwanda people, under the great leadership of His Excellency President Kagame, is striking strategic partnerships, de-risking investment environment, and inviting global and regional actors to co-create solutions for the future. They like the co-creation model in Rwanda. Last year alone, Rwanda secured over $3.2 billion in investment commitment, a 32% increase year on year. This investment spans manufacturing, agribusiness, many of the sectors that Michelle mentioned. Africa 50 is proud to be co-developing one of Rwanda's flagship projects, the Kigali Innovation City, a $300 million public-private partnership designed to house Africa's next generation of digital talent, entrepreneurs, and startups. It will feature 4 world-class universities, startup incubators, tech hubs across emerging sectors such as robotics, artificial intelligence, and data science. The expected economic impact is huge. But a deeper significance lies in the future of Kigali, in the future structures. Kigali Innovation City exemplifies a modern African public-private partnership, one where governments provide the vision, land, and policy incentives, and development partners like Africa 50 and others, they bring in bankable structuring and the private sector. This project is already catalyzing South-side capital flows with our partners at Badea, which is mobilizing investment from the Gulf, Carnegie Mellon University, anchoring the academic, and Africa Leadership University, anchoring the academic side of ecosystem. Rwanda's stories is not just Rwanda's. It is a roadmap for what is possible when strategy, execution, focus, ambition converge. It is also a reminder that in a world where capital chases certainty, countries that lead with transparency, speed, and coherence will win. Let me also acknowledge Rwanda's recent recognition as Africa's top-ranked countries in the World Bank inaugural Business Ready. To finish, at Africa 50, we fully support the Africa CEOs Forum call for a new deal between African state and the private sector. But a deal is only as strong as its delivery mechanism. That is why at Africa 50, we focus on building platforms, funds, and vehicles that can translate ambitions into bankable infrastructure across borders, sectors, and capital markets. Africa's transformation will be driven by execution, project by project, corridor by corridor, cities by cities. Rwanda offers a blueprint for how ambitions, policy clarity, and partnership can converge to deliver results. The task ahead is to match that ambition with speed and scale. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for you are taking the challenge to come here and speak about Rwanda, especially after a powerful presentation by both Michelle and Alain. But I have no doubts in my mind that we do have a team in front here that will enable any investor in this room to make a decision. And I'll start with Eugene. We've heard a lot about the ecosystem that is working out in Rwanda. Could you please take us through what are the RDB's top priorities for attracting FDI in 2025 and beyond? And in that, tell us, how is RDB facilitating market entry and scale up of new investors into the continent? Please.
Thank you very much, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I think to start, I'd like to paint the background and some of the frameworks that guide our overall strategy when it comes to developing the country before I go into the priorities for 2025 and the mechanisms and incentives that we provide to investors to help them grow and scale. At a very high level, the ambition for the country is enshrined in a document called Vision 2050. So a lot of thinking, a lot of planning, and it was highlighted by Michelle earlier, went into designing that document, that vision statement. And the objective is to turn Rwanda into a high-income country by 2050, with a per capita income that would go from the current 1,100 to about 13,000, which is the entry level for being categorized as a high-income country. Within the document itself and the instruments, certain key priorities, one being urbanization, developing a workforce that is capable and masters different technology, the whole issue of private sector development, investing in infrastructure, and regional integration. So then the vision is implemented through a series of strategies, 5-year strategies, 5 to 7 years. The one we are currently implementing is called NST2, the National Strategy for Transformation. And it runs from 2024 to 2029. That strategy, which guides the action of not just the Rwanda Development Board, but the government as a whole, has 3 key pillars. The first one is the economic pillar, and here it's all about investment in urbanization, in infrastructure, in agriculture, in tourism, in real estate, all the areas that were mentioned earlier. The second key pillar is social, is the social one, where it's about investing in a better alignment between, in the quality and market relevance of our education, so that the people coming out of our schools, the skills that they have are increasingly aligned to the labor market and to the workforce of the future. And of course, healthcare and so on. And the last one is governance, where we invest in strengthening our public financial management system, in creating a cohesive nation and all the issues of security. I'll highlight one key element of our vision. Most of the financing will come from here onward through private capital. We estimate that the demand in terms of financing will be financed at about 43% to 50% through private capital. So a key objective that we have is to raise the proportion of private investment to GDP from 15% right now, which represents about $2 billion, to about 25%. Which would be around $4 billion, and it takes you then to the Rwanda Development Board. Now that you know that private capital is so important for us, we have made investment facilitation our unique selling proposition. I might get a chance to get into it later on, but the very mandate of the Rwanda Development Board, the way government organizes itself, is really to put the investor at center stage. We run what's called a one-stop center, which most IPAs have, but ours brings together parts of 24 different agencies, those that are investor-facing, and provides in excess of 400 services to investors. And the idea is, in many jurisdictions, an investor would face a challenge. I have a problem having my land titles. I have challenges with energy or electricity. I have problems with water. Maybe my agreement was not entirely implemented, and some of the incentives that were agreed upon were not accorded. So we turned RDB into this platform through which all of the challenges of the investor could be handled, a focal point. And in so doing, the whole idea behind it was to create a predictable business environment, an environment where businesses know that there's sanctity of contracts, that the rules are predictable, and so that's how we are structuring in terms of market entry and attracting new investors. Now, I'll get to the part on scale. How do we help countries scale? During the first couple of decades, particularly during Vision 2020, it was primarily about new investments, attracting new investors. From Vision 20 to now under Vision 2050, we are still going to place the focus on attracting new investments, but it's increasingly becoming about reinvestment. We now have a large pool of investors, and it's about understanding their pain points. It's about coming up with incentives and mechanisms to push them to reinvest. Because that is the best way for an economy to know that companies are growing, companies are innovating, and so on. So in terms of how we intend to make them scale, it will be about understanding at a sector level the challenges that they face, adjusting the regulatory environment and the incentives that we provide so that we can get them to profitability as quickly as possible and to reinvestment. Yes, thank you very much.
That's a good one for an investor to hear. Anish, I'll come to you. Having listened to that success story and the proposition of Rwanda, I know you are one of those investors who have experienced it. Could you please share with us how your collaboration with the government of Rwanda has been? And as an investor, what opportunities do you see for scaling up sustainable development?
Thank you, Benson. Just to give a brief intro about Equitain, we are operating across 15 countries in Africa, across West, Central, and East part of Africa, and manage around $4 billion of businesses and assets. Rwanda has been a particularly interesting story for us. We started in Rwanda around a couple of years ago, and currently we have 3 businesses operating in Rwanda. We have industrial parks and zones. We have coming up with a manufacturing plant for pharma, and we have our EV company, which is Piro, which is operating in Rwanda. Our experience has been extremely good. The government is very proactive. I think as you have identified, government has chalked out a very well laid out plan how to bring new companies, international investments into the country, and at the same time, facilitate the investment with a policy-driven manner. What we have seen in many countries, that governments are always interested to bring capital into the country, but they don't have the regulatory and the policy framework to guide the safety and the growth of this investment. In Rwanda, we realize that government has laid out policies which are investor friendly and allows the growth. Also at the same time, the repatriation of capital, the norms have been laid out very well so that investors can invest freely. So I think in our view, the collaboration with the government has been successful so far, and we see new businesses coming up in Rwanda sooner and later. Thank you.
Brilliant. That is very good. Stan, let me come to you. As another investor who has been very close to the Rwanda as an ecosystem, could you please tell us about AGL's partnership journey with the government on Rwanda, and what would you say are the key attraction points for you to Rwanda?
Thank you, Benson. So very rapidly, you know, AGL Africa Global Logistics is present in 47 countries and employs 23,000 employees throughout the continents. We are in port terminal, logistics, railway concessions, warehousing, and our presence in Rwanda goes up back to 60 years. So we've known Rwanda along, I mean, with several periods, histories, but lately we have decided to invest more in, and we will be capitalizing on one strength which is very important for us, is education and talents. The quality of the universities that we have found in Rwanda and their ability to train and educate young Africans is very important for us because we are in a fast-growing world and a fast-growing industry, talking about logistics, and we will need these new talents to feed our organizations in Rwanda and obviously elsewhere. And we are particularly invested into creating shared service centers, which we'll call a excellence center, where we will gather more than 200 staff within the next 18 months, focusing on compliance services, screening, finance, IT development, strategic marketing also. And these people will work for the rest of organization in Africa. We used to have this kind of structure in France. We already have one in Ivory Coast, and we believe the facility and the quality of the people we can recruit in Rwanda will bring us a competitive advantage to grow better in the future. So this is the first really game-changing initiative that we have taken, thanks to the quality of the resources that we have found there. People speak French, English, Swahili, so they can really have access and give access to a lot of African talents to go and be trained and educated there, and then distributed in our organizations. And when we talk about the development growth of this country, we've seen the video. There are so many things to still build in the future that we will have also to engage more. So we have already not signed. I mean, we have agreed with the governments and the RDB with Jean-Yves' organization to invest in several assets around, I mean, outside Rwanda in the first place, in Isaka, Naivasha, and also in Djibouti, to make sure that the corridors accessing Rwanda are optimized, so that the flow of goods and the volume growth that will come up with this development will be properly operated. This is very important. So these projects will be our strong focus for the next months and year to come, to make sure that all the logistics around the country, which is, as you know, a landlocked country, will ease these investment needs and development needs that are clearly identified. And we will also invest, of course, in these logistic platforms, but also in the railway operations. As you know, AGL is running 2 railway concessions in Africa, and we want also to offer to our clients this possibility to transport goods through railway. We've talked also about the new airport, which will be a game changer for Kigali and for the country. Yeah. We hope to still participate, of course, in the construction works, but also to participate to the operation. The Kigali logistic platform is also a very promising project where we will also be involved and invested with pleasure. And today, AGL Rwanda is already very present in cross-border logistics, warehousing, and we're running after space and investment to make sure that we can accommodate the very good volumes that are on the market, because the growth is really, you can feel it on a day-to-day basis. So it's promising for the future.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And that's a nice way to transition to Mary, because I know IFC has been a great partner for Rwanda. I'll follow through on what has been said by the 3 speakers. What do you see from IFC's perspective, the most promising sectors for a private sector investor? What do you see as those sectors being? And what would you highlight as some of the specific IFC-backed initiatives in Rwanda?
So thanks. You're absolutely right. Rwanda's been a fantastic partner for IFC, and I think we're only just beginning. And there's a number of key sectors I want to tease you all with, but I want to start with the life sciences hub for Africa, because it's the one I'm most passionate about personally. Not that we should pick our children or pick our favorites. You know, this for me illustrates what we've been talking about for 2 days. Africa solutions for Africa problems. It also illustrates the focus, the ambition, and the systematic approach we've repeatedly seen Rwanda pursue when it gets its heart and mind set on developing a particular industry. So IFC and our partners have been working with the Rwanda Development Board to develop this hub for regional and global pharmaceutical companies. The idea is that the park's going to provide infrastructure, specialized services like contract research and clinical trial support, as well as a regulatory environment aligned with global best practices. Huge potential is going to come with this park. Also, it's worth noting that the Africa Medicines Agency and the International Vaccine Institute's regional offices in Kigali. So that really places Rwanda at the forefront of regulatory harmonization, which is a real challenge currently on the continent. It's worth noting the presence of BioNTech, which inaugurated a modular production facility in December 2023, which is going to actually, I think, really cement Rwanda's credibility as a life sciences leader. The park is going to address a fundamental bottleneck in Africa's pharmaceutical industry, providing access to affordable, high-quality, locally manufactured products. And of course, it's going to create jobs. It's going to build local capabilities. It's going to strengthen health resilience, not just in Rwanda, but across the continent. So we at IFC really believe Rwanda has the right ingredients to make this happen. I mentioned it a moment ago. It's got an ambitious vision, a pro-investment policy framework, which you heard from Michelle earlier, growing technical capacity, regional connectivity. So this is something we'll continue to move forward with in terms of market development, in terms of bringing financing, and in terms of the long-term partnership that we've had. Now, it's not the only sector that we're excited about. So, we see opportunities in affordable housing, in agribusiness, inclusive finance, sustainable infrastructure, all areas aligned with the country's, plan to build its resilient economy. There was a study done not too long ago by the Rwanda Green Fund and IFC, where we identified over $335 million in investment opportunities in Rwanda's climate-smart agriculture sector. Opportunities range from irrigation systems to renewable energy solutions, clear, concrete opportunities. There's another study that the Rwanda Housing Authority just did it about 2 years ago, that revealed that there would be needed 27,000 new housing units annually through 2050. I mean, there's a sharp mismatch right now between demand and supply, because I think it's about fewer than 1,000 units that are being delivered each year. So as we move forward, IFC and the World Bank Group to laser focus on creating jobs, I think we're very aligned with Rwanda's similarly laser focused objective of creating jobs. And Rwanda wants to create 1.5 million jobs by 2029. So the private sector needs to be there to help to do that. Private sector, as you all know, you hear it over and over, accounts for 90% of jobs. So it's really critical that we get the investments in infrastructure development and expand access to finance so that we can enable businesses to thrive. IFC is investing, for those of you that don't know us, both through direct investments in the sectors I mentioned, manufacturing, agri, tourism, but we also invest indirectly through local and regional financial institutions. That's a big way where we reach local small and medium enterprises. We're also focusing on advisory services and technical assistance, whether that's working with the government on its broadband policy or to develop capital markets as we are in Rwanda, or whether it's at the firm level or helping a financial institution to integrate E&S risk management into its lending operations. So I'll wind up because I know I'm going long, but let me just say, all the ingredients, as I mentioned a moment ago, are there. Rwanda has a policy clarity. It has a simplified regulatory regime. There was already a reference to the bank's Be Ready report. Rwanda showed up at the top of the class in that on so many dimensions, including operational efficiency, public services, regulatory quality. And maybe the last really important point, it's been especially important for IFC, is Rwanda is a great proof of concept market for a corporation. We have a client through one of our funds that's in the electric motorcycle and battery space, who used Rwanda to test out its approach and then rolled out to Kenya and further in East Africa. So I can't say enough good things about the importance of Rwanda.
Fantastic.
Back to you.
Indeed, that's very good and very, very rich in terms of feedback. Rahul, as a man who has been on ground, as an investor who has experienced Rwanda, I'll just try to tap on to that, and if you could please share with us, how has it been like for you setting up in Rwanda and operating in that country? And from Aris's point of view, what are your expansion plans in Rwanda, or even across the continent?
Thank you, Benson. I think I'll start with what Michelle said about Rwanda's development plan and how they have set up the document for Rwanda's growth. She talked about regional industrialization and the 9 zones that they are looking to set up. We have partnered with them for development of one of the zones, which is Bulgaria Special Economic Zone. And few key things which we have found very good and different from other countries that we've been operating is Rwanda is not just about a statement of intent. It is about actual work on ground. Bulgaria was not a greenfield zone. The government of Rwanda had already put in money and started development of the zone before we came in. So that showed that they had a very positive intent for development of the zone. And it became a very easy point for us to enter into the country because we had something which was already ongoing on the ground. And it made, it helped us to gain a quick entry. The second point is that even on the policy side, the policy was so well defined that we did not have to ask for any additional incentives or any tweaking of the policy to enable us to start our operations there. This again is somewhat different from our experiences in some of the other countries where the countries are still figuring out how should they go about special economic zones, what kind of policies, what kind of incentives they need to give. And there is sometimes a difference between what the intent is and what the situation actually on ground is. In Rwanda's case, it was absolutely the same. What is said, you would see on ground, and it's smooth entry. Another key factor is on the infrastructure front as well, in terms of provision of utilities, etc. It has been a very collaborative approach, and RDB has been very supportive to enable that the requisite infrastructure is provided at the zone. So overall, for us, Rwanda has been excellent example of a country to come in. At the moment, we are completing the expansion, infrastructure of the phase 1. We intend to complete it this year and also attract investors to complete, to fill the zone and operations to start there. Thereafter, we will move on to the second phase, and probably that is the time then we will also look at additional land parcels in the area. So that's predominantly what Rwanda is for us. In terms of overall plans, we are currently present in 14 countries. Out of these 14 countries, we are operational in 5 and under development 9. And these are countries where we would look to get operational by end of next year. And from that, we keep on exploring opportunities, but at this point of time, nothing concrete at the moment.
Good. Sounds good. And I think I'll be turning to the audience in a short while. So please, if you have any question or anything you'd want to get the panel to clarify, I'll be coming to you in a short while. You can prepare. So Jean, I'll try and wrap up this session with you. We've had the submissions from investors who have experience in Rwanda. They have experienced the ecosystem. Is RDB as the one-stop shop for investors, the first interface with the country? What would you say to the investor sitting in this room that provides clarity on Rwanda's unique value proposition for someone who is looking for a country where to put their dollars? What would you say to them that makes Rwanda stand out?
I think I would say, I will pick up from what was said earlier about matching words to action. You know, what we say is really what we do, you know, and it would be a level of attention that you probably would find it very difficult to find elsewhere. And I'd like to explain why.
In 30 seconds, sorry to cut you short.
Sure. We were dealt very difficult cards. You would probably need to find new words in the dictionary to describe where we came from. So very early on, it became apparent to us, given the size of our market, distance to the sea, that we needed to be very ingenious and inventive about how we go about attracting private capital. So not just RDB, but the whole of the government of Rwanda, what you'll find is a constant attempt to turn the business environment into our unique selling proposition, into our competitive advantage, and to create an environment where the investor feels at ease, feels welcome, has an environment where they can grow, where the tax regime, the land regime, the interactions are clear and predictable. So that's what you would find differently if you were to invest in Rwanda, a level of attention that is like no other because of partly rooted in our history, but also where we want to go, given what we want to learn from the companies that we attract, the potential in terms of technological transfer in health with the companies that we've managed to attract and so on. So that would be my take.
Excellent. I think what I pick from there is matching words to action. So it's a nice way to close it. We'll transition now very quickly into a question and answer session. So I'm ready to take a few questions. So if you have a question, please, if you could raise your hand, I will ask someone to reach out to you with a mic. Do you have any questions from the audience? It is important to interact so that we don't just tell you the story. You need to clarify anything that you'd want, that you find useful when you go back to your boardroom. All right, as we wait to see whether there is any question that is coming up. Anish, what would you say to a new investor who is looking to get into? Let me take the question first before I come to you. Please give the mic, pass the mic there.
Hello?
If you could introduce yourself and stand up so that we can see you, excellent.
Thank you so much. I was saying to my wife, I love this place. You are 6'1" and you are among the shortest. It's a great pleasure to be here. And what I've seen and what I've heard, it's so beautiful. My name's Eric Bulu, and I am a CEO of my company called GAI and Boot Services. We have a department in animation, so AI animations. And if I were to set up a branch of my business in Rwanda, do you or do we have this RDB panel or representations in Côte d'Ivoire maybe? Or how does it work from me being Côte d'Ivoire to contact you to set up and to experience that within 6 hours a company can be set up? That I love to see that from my own eyes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that question. I think there was another hand up. So if I could take that question as well. Please, again, if you could just stand up, introduce yourself and ask the question. Okay, so, right. June, do you want to respond to that question?
Surely. And artificial intelligence is a priority sector for us moving forward in the digital segment of the economy, which we're trying to promote. So I think it was said earlier that we can create a company within 6 hours. We probably should have added in the presentation that you actually don't need to be in Rwanda. That's another element. So when we were saying that we try to go beyond, you actually would not need to travel. I would invite you just after this meeting. I'll give you my business card. Just send me an email and we'll send you some forms and documents that you need to forward to us. And we'll test live whether the 6 hours is reality or not, whether we match our actions with our words. But for the sake of it, just to confirm that you do not need to actually physically travel to Rwanda to set up your company. We can do it from a distance. And we very much welcome your investment in AI and related technologies. Come and experience Rwanda as a proof of concept. You know, take advantage of the incentives that we provide around the sector. Get as quickly as possible to a product that, you know, to product market fit, and then expand from there. That's the whole idea. So you're very much welcome. I think we'll exchange details after the meeting. Thank you.
Very well. I think we have got a question here. And two. I'll take this one and that one. Yes. So let's start with... Let's start with this gentleman. Please, if you could start up, introduce yourself and ask the question.
Yes, hi. My name is Taslim Ngom. I'm from Senegal. I have a question about the property sector in Rwanda. How is it doing? Is there demand? What kind of products do you need most right now? And when I said property, it can go from resi to office to industrial. What are most of the needs? And are there any supports or incentive mechanisms that are in place to push for more development in those areas, particularly on the demand side? Do you have like a mortgage market? Is the RDB or any of the other government entity doing anything to support the market in actually acquiring property products? Thank you.
Thank you. We have another, if I could take both questions.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for all the sharing. My name is Ifani Odo. I'm the MD for Schneider Electric across East Africa. First, I must say thank you for Rwanda. It has been very key for us. We've been doing a lot of activities there and it's been scaling well. And speaking about scale, the intent is to be even more aggressive. Yes, admittedly with REG, many of the parastatals have been working together to modernize the grid and even go as far as the ports. But I want to go further on the social side. So today, we are trying to see how we can set up very innovative advanced training center in the region. And this is also where I need help. A few months ago, we commissioned a massive training center for TVET in Kenya. I'm in the process of trying to roll this out across the region, and Rwanda is very important. So first, I will need help to ensure that we can go faster. I think we have one through Don Bosco already, but given the ambitions that we have in the region to enable more factories like BioNTech come online, data centers, and I mean, there's a whole industrial park. I'm very passionate about the skill sets. So I don't know if there is any program in place to make this go faster, and we are willing to deploy the funds through the support of the foundation to get it online. And if all the stars align, I'll be happy to work together to commissioning one by next year. So I think this is one of the major questions. And maybe coming back to the infrastructure side on the smart city, what else can we do to really go faster on that ambition as well? And how do you see all the development beyond Kigali? Rwanda is still a massive country in comparison to many of the other advanced countries, as you know. I mean, compared to Singapore is much bigger. but a lot of activity seems to be centralized around Kigali. And what we do from access to energy, which is to see how we can make an impact with these 80-something people across sub-Saharan Africa without electricity access. I would also like to see how we can collaborate to bring more value and extract and create value in the rural communities. So I'm also curious to understand your ambition and how we can support that. Thank you.
Very good questions, and I'll turn now to the panel. Mary, you spoke about the property opportunity. Could I ask you to respond to that question? And then Stan, you spoke about talent and the work that you are doing. Perhaps you could talk about the talent angle, the question that he is asked, and maybe John could add on to it. And then John, could you please speak about broadly what he spoke about at his second question on the interconnectivity and expanding beyond Kigali? Mary?
Okay, so as I mentioned, we are interested in real estate and property. And in fact, when it comes to real estate in the tourism sector, we've supported a mixed-use project, the Inozuvu Mall, and that was a very good experience. We're looking for other opportunities. And I know you said property, but I have something to say about everything, almost. So I just but I'll be quick. We're working with the government of Rwanda on special economic zones, and specifically to set up special economic zones beyond Kigali, and also to diversify sectors that these zones look at. So that's something else coming online that we're excited about. No, I'll stop there and not. Creative industries, the animation, it's a new space for IFC, but we are really keen to invest. So far, we're doing primarily technical assistance, but would be very happy to explore when you set up under 6 hours remotely in Rwanda. We'll be there to talk to you about your financing needs.
Very good. Stan?
I won't be very long or very technical about what you've asked about the talent pool that there is in Rwanda, but I mean, go there, visit the University of Rwanda. I mean, we did that with Roger, our MD there, and we thought we would be spending a couple of half an hours, and we stayed 4 hours just, you know, feeling the energy, feeling the quality and the interest and the curiosity of the students, whether engineers, artists, I mean, designers, finance, innovation, technology. I mean, there is really all you need there. So just go there, spend a couple of days, and it will be very easy for you to understand the potential. I mean, there's no much to tell, but just go there and feel it. It's an easy decision. It's an easy call.
Absolutely. And RDB is your one-stop shop. Jen, I'm sure you would.
Yes.
You can't miss anything to add into that conversation.
No, absolutely. First, on the question from the gentleman from Senegal on properties, I think Rwanda, like most other African countries, is facing this massive urbanization dimension and rate. So it's similar in that sense. What we've done, though, is that we've been very deliberate about planning it. I mentioned earlier that urbanization was one of the key agenda items on the Vision 2050. And to go about it, there are certain things that we did. The first one was planning. So you'll find that in Rwanda, like virtually every aspect of every part of the country has a master plan, and if it doesn't have it yet, is in the process of having it. So that changes the ball game in multiple ways, because as a real estate investor, you'll know that you have demarcated areas for high-end apartments, that this particular area will be for affordable housing. So the opportunities are across, but I think where an investor, and again, it goes back to the element of predictability, of creating an environment where investors feel at ease, is if you're coming from the angle of real estate, you know that if you're setting up a high-end apartment building, then there won't be a small house next to you. So you'll find planning capabilities and then consistency in execution when it comes to real estate investments. And then we're going into what you're mentioning and developing these byproducts, linking them to the capital markets as it's growing and becoming more liquid, figuring out what kind of financial products we can get from the banks. So it's developing, but it starts with the planning and the consistency in execution. This is a challenge we've seen that we had in the past, long ago, but that we've now solved. And by the way, I needed to highlight part of solving the problem was actually digitizing it. So everything I've mentioned, the master plan, the land titles, the transfers when they're being done at the point of sale, the whole process is digitized. And then the last question was another interest in terms of investment. We can definitely have a conversation after this. The sector that you've highlighted in terms of TVET and advanced training sector is very much welcome. And we have a suite of incentives that we provide for people operating in that space so that we continue to invest in strengthening our human capital in service of the economy, of this growing private sector base and so on. So thank you very much. I'll stop here.
No, thank you. And
Just a
if there is
it's a digression, but it's very important.
good, in 30 seconds, please.
30 seconds.
Yes.
The other thing that we are doing now is local empowerment for local assembly. So we've identified few companies in Rwanda that we are currently training to locally assemble many of these industrial products that could be used in buildings, real estate, electrical panels to be precise. But I'm also curious on the policy that sort of protects this ecosystem. So is there an intention on the government to create some kind of local content demand on some of these locally assembled solutions, for example? This today is missing, and what ends up happening, sadly, is that for many of the infrastructure that is coming mainstream in Rwanda, majority of the equipment are largely coming out of the continent. At the very least, is there room to start with East Africa bloc for there to be some level of preference with quality not being compromised to consume and hopefully more to enable more people to invest in Rwanda? Okay.
Okay, I think it's feedback in terms of what needs to be done. Perhaps we'll take it away and address it, and I would encourage a further conversation after this, because I have to bring this to a close. But your question and your suggestion is very much welcome, and we'll pursue it after this and beyond. So I think I'll close the questions, but I'll not for the session. But after this, there will be further engagement and with the panelists or with the Rwanda team. So we'll be open to it. I want to thank my panel. You have been fantastic. I think time has not been enough for us. We would have spoken more, but I want to thank you so much. And yeah, please applaud the panel. It's been fabulous. And I also want to thank you for the patience and your engagement. Very, very fulfilling.